When it comes to the fantasy genre or pop culture in general, almost no entertainment franchise in history has experienced overwhelming success as the Harry Potter series. As a book series targeted towards children first released back in the late 1990s, British author J.K. Rowling took the literary world by storm, leading to massive success. Readers young and old were enthralled by her ability to weave intricate lore and dynamic characters in such a flawless fashion. Eventually, the books received a film deal by Warner Brothers, which led to the release of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, better known by its stateside name as Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, a film lauded upon release by critics and general audiences alike. The film's success would go onwards to the Academy Awards, where it was nominated for Best Art Direction, Best Original Score, and Best Costume Design, becoming the second highest grossing film of all time during that time. The impressive earnings of the movie spawned 7 sequels over a span of a decade, plus a prequel series that altogether have earned a worldwide total of more than $9 billion. Combined with the sales of the books and merchandising, J.K. Rowling became a self-made billionaire, and Harry Potter has gone down as one of the most beloved entertainment franchises ever made, and became the new Star Wars for an entire generation, young and old. With the upcoming and pending release of Hogwarts Legacy being released under publisher WB Games and developer Avalanche, I've decided to go back and review all 8 of the movie tie-in Harry Potter games starting with Sorcerer's Stone. There are 2 main versions of the Sorcerer's Stone video game. The first is the original PS1 game, which was highly successful, becoming one of the best-selling PS1 games of all time and generating several $1 million in revenue. And then there's the PS2 version released 2 years later. While I've played and completed both versions, this video will be focused on the PS2 version of Sorcerer's Stone, which the game itself is rather okay. It's not good, but it's not bad either. First and foremost, just like the movie it's tied to, you play exclusively as Harry Potter throughout the runtime. Instead of playing through an entire year of school like you do in something like Persona 5, for example, you only play through 5 days and 5 nights. The game is rather short and can be completed within a handful of hours, but the same can be said for most movie tie-ins. The question here is, does this game make you feel like you're a part of the Harry Potter world as a student at Hogwarts? And the simple answer is, yes, it does. The formula for this game is kept simple, but it's effective. You go to a different class during the day across 5 days, and each time you go to class, you must learn a new spell from a spellbook that's kept hidden in a dungeon that you have to play through. There's a combat system with enemies you must contend with, as well as puzzles to solve and scripted stealth sections that you have to deal with as well. The level design isn't too bad, with implemented platforming, and the puzzles, which are the best element on display here, are reminiscent of classic games like the Zelda series, although dumbed down more since this is a game aimed at children. The problem with this game is that everything else, while not necessarily rushed, isn't developed very well. For instance, the platforming in the game is automatic. When you need Harry to jump a gap, he does so automatically. However, if you simply need him to drop down, he will often instead jump over the area you need him to drop down to, and instead fall to his death. Another issue is the lack of challenge. Just because you develop a game for children doesn't mean you have to treat them like they're stupid. You can't actually die in this game, which is very strange. You can run out of health, but you can't receive a game over. When you run out of health, the game just loads you instantly where you left off. It's basically a precursor to the modern LEGO games, which are also made for children. There's no reason to treat your audience like they're idiots, no matter the age range. The absurd difficulty spike at the tail end of the game makes it worse. This shit right here is extremely fucking annoying. I fail to see how this whole time this game doesn't have any sort of real challenge applied to it. But as soon as you get to the final boss, there's like this absurd difficulty spike. They put like 4 of these fucking wolf things, these ghost creatures on screen. They only give you like 2 or 3 healing items. And if you didn't collect enough cards and you don't have enough health, well, good luck getting through this fucking boss fight. Again, a game that's supposed to be, whose audience was targeted at children, at kids. It just seems rather strange to me that they would do something like this. So it seems that parts of this game was rushed. in order to meet some sort of deadline. It's ridiculous. The stealth segments at the end of the game are dreadful thanks to the fixed camera that you can't control that's stuck up the game's ass in the ceiling somewhere in the corner so you can't see the AI prefix on screen, yet they can see you. Every time you're caught and you fail, the game forces you to go back to the start of the room. The stealth is easily the worst part of the level design, and it's woefully bad here due to its incompetency. Combat here is also not very deep. Every enemy in the game responds to a specific spell that you're supposed to cast, but most of all of them can be dispatched by the Flipendo spell, which homes in on your target. While there is a targeting system that does work, locking on to certain enemies can become a hassle since the game isn't always responsive. Compared to the dungeons, platforming, and puzzles, the combat system does seem like an afterthought here. Story-wise, the game hits on a few key points from the movie. You watch Harry, Ron, and Hermione meet Fluffy, the three-headed dog.
Quick, in here! That was close. Ron, what are you...
Was locked, and for good reason.
You play through the fight with the mountain troll after it's trapped Hermione in the girls' bathroom.
One more like that should be enough to finish it off. Do something! What? Anything!
You enter the Forbidden Forest to track down a wounded unicorn. You play a Quidditch match against Slytherin.
That's unfortunate.
Unfortunate nothing. He's got the snitch.
He's got the snitch! Harry Potter receives 150 points for catching the snitch.
You enter the dungeons to hunt down Snape, encountering the Devil's Snare.
Defendo! Defendo!
Wow!
Stop moving, both of you. This is Devil's Snare. You have to relax. If you don't, it'll only kill you faster.
Kill us faster? Oh, now I can relax. Hermione! Now what are we gonna do?
Flying to catch a key with wings. You play a life-size version of Wizard Chess.
King to B4.
Don't suppose this is going to be like real wizard's chess, do you?
You there, D5.
Yes, Hermione. I think this is gonna be exactly like wizard chess.
And finally must fight Quirrell and Voldemort himself.
Wingardium Leviosa!
May I say?
Master, you must be careful.
The problem is that the game, the way it was designed here, is too much like the movie, down to copying entire lines of dialogue from the script and inserting them into the game.
Oh, my goodness. Explain yourselves, both of you.
Well, what it is, it's my fault, Professor McGonagall.
Miss Granger.
I went looking for the troll. I read about them and thought I could handle it. But I was wrong. If Harry and Ron hadn't come and found me, I'd probably be dead.
Oh my goodness. Explain yourselves, both of you.
Well, what it is, it's my fault, Professor McGonagall.
Miss Granger.
I went looking for the troll. I read about them and thought I could handle it. But I was wrong. If Harry and Ron hadn't come and found me, I'd probably be dead.
As a movie tie-in, you want the game to be like the movie since that's the point. But it shouldn't literally be so scripted to the point where you're just playing the movie as it's presented in the movie. Why is that an issue? Because the game will never be as good as the movie. That's why you should make a game first and insert aspects of the movie in the game without directly copying off the movie too much. Movie games typically have struggled greatly with this, which is one of the main reasons they were ultimately discontinued in the first place. Sorcerer's Stone, the game, is ultimately too much like the movie during parts where it must tell the story of the movie for it to feel like it can stand on its own. All in all, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is a decent game to an extent, but it's not a high-quality release, and when it comes to the PS2 version specifically, it pales in comparison to the PS1 version of the game, which feels more like its own thing, rather than just a carbon clone of the movie. As a movie tie-in, it's far from the worst that's out there, but there are movie tie-ins that destroy it easily in terms of quality.
Professor Snape know. He'll be there any second now. Bye-bye.